So here esophagus transfer sections, TS of esophagus is shown in this diagram, where we have actual color photograph in this side and a diagrammatic presentations on another side. So this diagrammatic presentation is essential for you to draw it in your university exam or in your journals or in your notebooks. You can use this drawing to indicate the esophagus transfer section. Okay, so one by one we'll see all the parts from inside to the out in actual photograph, and same we will verify in a diagrammatic presentation. Okay, so first of all, this is an internal lumen, a cavity in a esophagus that leads to the here internal layer as a epithelial layer. So here they have shown the cavity inside and mucosa layer, that is epithelial layer, and the type of epithelium is a stratified squamous epithelium, which you can see here. Okay, no cuboidal thing is there, no columnar or cuboidal epithelium you can see here. All this is a stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, immediately after that epithelium there is this lamina propria layer is there. This lamina propria layer, and thereafter, okay, so this is lamina propria layer. Then here is a muscularis mucosa layer. You can see this line, violet color line is a muscularis mucosa layer. Thereafter muscularis externa. Okay, so this portion from here to up to this portion is that muscular layer of smooth muscles. Okay, this portion indicate the outer longitudinal muscle, and in between somewhere you will find opening of these esophageal glands. Here you will find opening of some esophageal glands, the submucosa layer. Okay, now we'll see here the magnified view of this esophagus mucosa layer. So this is a mucosa layer, and here you will see a lot of epithelial squamous epithelial tissues lying one over each other. So that is a stratified squamous epithelial layer you can see here. Squamous mucosa, it is called squamous mucosa or stratified squamous epithelial layer. After that, here it is a muscularis externa portion, that is submucosa portions, and this is the outermost adventitia portions. Now here muscularis mucosa, you can see the presence of smooth muscles here. Now somewhere you will find these kind of structures. These are the glands, esophageal glands and mucous glands present. This is a actual cross section TS of esophagus under electron microscope. So this is a lumen portion, this is mucosal layer, epithelial layers, which consist at lamina propria and epithelial layer. Then this muscularis externa, this is a submucosa layer. Okay, again this is now longitudinal sections to reveal the detailed structures or histological structure of a wall of this esophagus. So from internal portion, from here we'll start. That is mucous membrane, stratified squamous epithelial portion is here, and these are the outgrowth of lamina propria. So that way they support the layer of this mucosa membrane, and in this lamina propria there is a opening of blood vessels. So these blood vessels are responsible for the absorption or secretory functions or nourishing functions of this mucosal portions. Thereafter, immediately after these budding portions here, there starts the submucosa layer, which consists of muscularis mucosa, of thin layers of smooth muscles you will see here. Then in the submucosa portion, you will find opening of some esophageal glands and blood vessels and the lymph vessels. Thereafter is a circular smooth muscle layer and a longitudinal striated muscles. So here you can see the presence of this cut portion, and this portion is a longitudinal and circular portion layer is there. Then these are the esophageal glands in present in a that submucosa portion. This is a muscularis portion. This muscularis mucosa is here, and the external muscularis layer is here, which showing the circular muscle, and longitudinal muscles are somewhere outside this picture. Now, stratified squamous epithelial layer you can see on the outer side with this papillae or outgrowth of a lamina propria. So this is again another photograph of a esophagus. This used stain with some different dye that is called as a trichrome stain. Now here this is a stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified, if you remember from the first lecture of types of tissue in epithelial tissue, you can see the presence of this small squamous epithelium, a line or layer of a squamous epithelium, so called as a stratified. Okay, thereafter this is a lamina propria here. Okay, this muscularis mucosa, these are esophageal glands, and this middle portion as a fold. So again this is a submucosa muscularis mucosa portions, this lamina propria, and another side of this squamous epithelial, stratified squamous epithelial layer. This middle greenish colored portion is a submucosa. Here in this fold we don't see the external muscularis layer and the serosa portion. Okay, now we come with the stomach. A stomach is a highly muscular organ, a bag-like organ responsible for temporary storage and digestion of a food, and so for churning and digestive actions and extension, relaxation of this pouch, it is supported with lot of muscles. So in this diagram you will find this is an opening called a longitudinal muscles, where you will find that longitudinal muscle of esophagus. Okay, and there's a cardiac portions, fundus body portions, and pyloric regions. The three zones are made in a stomach. So anatomically and histologically, stomach is divided into cardiac stomach, fundus stomach, and pylorus stomach. So cardiac stomach is a portion in bluntly ended portion of upper portion of a stomach near to the heart, so it's named as a cardiac stomach. Then fundus, actual lot of secretion take place here, and the pylorus towards the lower end of a stomach bag. So here cardiac is the first section separated from the esophagus by cardiac sphincters. Sphincters are the gates controlling the opening and closing of stomach at the esophagus point. Then glands contain mucus secreting cells, stem cells, enteroendocrine, and occasional parietal cells are found in this cardiac portion in a stomach. We'll see what is that parietal cells, we'll see what is the stem cells and mucus secreting enteroendocrine cells, everything later on, but just to make a notes, you can write the cardiac portions, what we have to see. In that we have to search for this all different types of cell. Then fundus and the body, it is the largest portions or middle portion of a stomach, That fondic glands contain parietal cells, chief cells with some stem cells, mucous cells, and enteroendocrine cells. We'll see in detail what are these different cells. They are responsible for the secretion of enzymes. Then pyloric regions, the lowermost end portion of a stomach which connect with the duodenum, that ends at the pyloric sphincter. So where the first sphincter, that is the opening of a stomach guarded with the cardiac sphincter, and end of a stomach is guarded with the pyloric sphincter. Now, glands, primarily mucus secreting cells, you will see in this portion, pyloric stomach, and two special endocrine cells you will see is a gastrin secreting G cells and somatostatin secreting cells D cells. So if you see at this paragraph, you will find that major enzyme secretion is there in a cardiac, and again in that the fundus body portions you will find major secretion occurs in these two portions. And here in the pyloric region you will find precursors of further digestive enzymes are secreted, and it is loaded with lot of mucus. Okay, so this is a diagram of a stomach showing internal lining and external portions. So when we say a cardiac portions, so this is a cardiac portions very near to the opening of a esophagus, and the rest outer portion is a fundus and corpus portions, that is a body portion of a stomach, and a pylorus portion here at the end where it connect with the duodenum. So this portion is a pylorus, this portion is a fundus and corpus portion, and this portion is a cardiac portion. So esophagus join with the stomach at these gastric junctions. That portion is called as a cardiac sphincters, and the end portion where the stomach ends and join with the duodenum is called as a pyloric sphincters. Internally, you will find the stomach wall has a lot of foldings. That folds are called as a rugae, or whatever the pronunciation, R-U-G-A-E, rugae, or the kind of a villi or um, wavy appearance in a internal skin of a stomach. Okay, so stomach chemical breakdown of protein begins and food is converted to chyme. As soon as the food enter in our digestive system through the esophagus, it is reacted with the enzymes or chemicals in a stomach where the proteins breakdown started. Cardiac regions surrounds the cardiac orifice, fundus, dome-shaped region beneath the diaphragm, body, mid-portion of a stomach, pyloric region made up of a antrum and canal which terminates at the pylorus. So this is again the revision of the previous slide only. The pylorus is continuous with the duodenum through the pyloric sphincters. Here is the cardiac sphincters is the opening and pyloric sphincter is the end, the stomach. Greater curvatures are there, that is entire extent of convex lateral surface. Now all these details are from the mammal, not from all the mammals, but it is specifically from the human stomach. Okay, so lesser curvature, then lesser omentum, greater omentum. We are more interested in this rugae, that is a folds in the inner lining of a stomach, and the blood supplies to the celiac trunk and corresponding veins, the part of hepatic portal system. So all that wall of a stomach is provided blood with the celiac trunk blood, and the digested material is absorbed to the hepatic portal system, which is a blood system between the digestive system, that is between the stomach, intestine, and the liver. Okay, so here you can see again the different parts of the stomach. What we say is a rugae of mucosa, a very highly increased folding of this mucosa and submucosa layer is called as a rugi in case of a stomach. That just increases the absorptive surface area. Okay, just all these regional labeling we have seen already. Okay, so the longitudinal sections, if you see the of that mucus of a stomach, it look like this. Now, what are these things? It's a columnar epithelium. Now, see this mucosa layer in a esophagus. It is of a stratified squamous epithelium. Here, the same epithelium is changed into a columnar epithelium. Remember, it is a columnar epithelium. So the cells, epithelial cells, are now like a column, and these folds they form the gastric pits. The folds are very large, which forms the gaps, which is not evident in esophagus. In esophagus, we have seen this papillae of lamina propria, but there is no gap in between the two papillae. The same thing happen here. Between the two large papillae, there is a formation of a gap or valley. That portion is called as a gastric pits. They have their significance. We'll see after some slide. So basically, the point is the mucosa of stomach is lined with a columnar epithelium with lot of gastric pits. Okay, now fundic mucosa would change at the fundic portion in a stomach. There you will see the parietal cells that secrete HCl, hydrochloric acid. Fundic glands are present. Chip cells that secretes zymogen granules containing pepsinogens. This modification you will see in a mucosa of a fundic region in a stomach. What are that modifications? Presence of fundic glands, presence of parietal cells, and presence of chip cell here. Okay, now microscopic anatomy of a stomach. Now in detail we'll go and see what is that parietal cell, mucous cell, and gastric cells. Okay, so this is a portion, a stomach wall, then serosa, outermost layer, then longitudinal muscle, circular muscle, oblique muscles. So all this is a muscular externa portions. Then mucosa, that submucosa portion is there with no much modification in that. Thereafter start the mucosa layer. Here the muscularis mucosa is there. It is a layer of smooth muscles. Thereafter start the lamina propria. Now from this lamina propria till the surface, this is important portions in a stomach. We'll see what modifications we find in a mucosa portions in a stomach now. So this portion is enlarged here, and they have tried to show the different cell type in this enlarged portion of a mucosa of stomach. Okay, and this is location from the body portion, that is fundic portions. The mucosal portion is highlighted here. Okay, so here these are the gastric pits. Just in previous slide we said that there is a enlarged cavities or valleys present between the two lamina propria folding of in a epithelial layer, that is called as gastric pits, which are a hole or gaps are there, which forms a tube-like structure over the wall or internal wall of our stomach. So that pit-like structures leads where inside they are guarded with the different types of cells. That tubes forms these gastric pits forms a lumen surrounded with different types of cells. So first at the base portion there are chip cells. Then at the middle portions there are these parietal cells and gastric glands and the mucosal cells. So secretion of all these four cells together is poured outside through these gastric pits. Okay, so together it is called as the gastric glands. Gastric glands of fundus and the body have variety of secretory cells. So in gastric pits are opening of a gastric gland, you can say now. It contain mucous neck cells. So these portions is totally supplied with the all mucus secreting cells, so called as a mucous neck cells. Then parietal cells that secrete HCl. Now we'll see here. So again the enlarged portions from the base of these gastric gland. So what is there? These violet colors are the cheap cells. These blue color cells are the enteroendocrine cells, and these light blue color cells are the parietal cells. You can see the lot of mitochondria in the parietal cells. Okay, so these parietal cells secrete the hydrochloric acid. Cheap cells produce that pepsinogen or zymogen granules, and these enterocrine cells are responsible for production of some hormones responsible for increased digestion. Okay, so this presence of this HCl pepsinogens becomes converted into pepsins, and they start digesting the proteins. Okay, I hope you understood the concept of gastric gland. Gastric gland itself is a um, house of 3-4 different types of cells which are pouring their secretion into the tubes, and that tubes are the gastric glands opening in the form of a gastric pit over the surface. Gastric glands of the fundus and the body have variety of secretory cells, mucous neck cells, and parietal cells.